As things cost more, Americans are putting less aside. Federal data shows the personal savings rate has fallen to the lowest level in years.
Genuine question for the Norwegians. How does anybody afford to live here when the prices are so astronomically high?
When do you think they'll get it? When do you think they're going to understand that people cannot afford the lives that they want? They can't afford the children. The generations will continue to get smaller. People will continue having fewer children.
So with us being about halfway through the year already, I thought we should take a look at how everybody's dealing with the high cost of living. We're going to be going over a wide range of topics along with examples from all over the world, so this video might seem a bit all over the place. We also have comments from you guys from previous videos, so if you want to be featured on a future video, leave in the comments down below, but let's just jump right into it.
So families are struggling to put food on the table. The Federal Reserve Bank of New York is issuing a new warning now about the rise in food insecurity as Americans try to make ends meet. That report saying between the late 2025 and early 2026, there was a sharp rise in households reporting that they had to skip meals, use food banks, and rely on SNAP benefits, or even dip into their savings account if they had any, just to try and cover grocery costs that are nearly 3% higher than a year ago. And 10% of households surveyed said that they didn't have enough food to feed their kids, and their kids had to miss meals. That's more than double the numbers from mid-2020.
And ever since I started making videos on this channel, the grocery prices have only gone up. They never went down. We got a comment from you guys right here. It's worse than it's ever been before. Every single time I go into Walmart, I'm only buying necessities now. I asked you guys in an older video, what are you doing to save money in this high cost of living climate? Less eating out and going out in general. Also buying bulk when I'm able to. Another person saying being a one-car family. Buying off-brand food items and non-brand clothing. Just paying for the basic utilities like rent and mortgage, water and electricity, and the phone. I'm living with multiple roommates and trying to practice minimalism, and I've been working more hours and buying discounted stuff at the store. But even with so many cutting back right now, Americans' savings rate is absolutely tanking.
As things cost more, Americans are putting less aside. Federal data shows the personal savings rate has fallen to the lowest level in years. NPR's Amy Held reports.
Inflation is around a 3-year high. Wages have not kept up, and nearly half of U.S. households are struggling to afford the basics. A year ago, the personal savings rate was 5.8%. By March, it was down to 3.2%. And in April, the latest reading, it had fallen to 2.6%, according to the Bureau of Economic Analysis.
It's one of the lowest rates in the past 65 years.
Heather Long is chief economist at Navy Federal Credit Union.
We're seeing people turning more to credit cards and personal loans and buy now, pay later. We can see some early signs of pullback in home improvement and also in healthcare.
Long says she expects things to get tighter into the second half of the year.
Now I know we see a ton of examples of people using credit cards and buy now, pay later to just buy whatever they want. All the designer stuff, the vacations, going out to eat constantly, you name it. But there's an increasing amount of people all over the world that are using it just to survive now. We got another comment saying you'll own nothing and be happy. We've heard that for a while now. Well, they got half of that right.
What are your thoughts on the cost of living?
Quite high, very high.
It's a nightmare. Like it's everything's just really expensive. I've got teenage daughters that probably, unless they marry very, very well, will probably never be able to afford their own home. Very, very unlikely that they won't.
I think it's too expensive right now for people to buy a home.
They've gone up dramatically over the last half a dozen years. Now at the point it looks like my son and other people around about the same age and older aren't going to have the funds to buy a home, and it's going to be the bank of mum and dad that comes to their saving.
I mean, if you're even lucky enough to have parents that'll help you out like that. A lot of younger people have parents that are struggling just as much as they are, when the prices for things like cars and houses are only going up. And we got a comment from you guys that goes well with this. Prices almost never go down. The best you could hope for is that your income goes up faster than prices. And that's a lot easier said than done in today's world. Even though the bogus information that comes out about inflation tries to gaslight us into thinking that wages are going up faster. I don't know about you, it doesn't seem that way to me.
Inflation numbers out from the Bureau of Labor Statistics just this morning. So here it is. In May, inflation rose to 4.2% year over year, and that's the highest level in 3 years. Just for context, Savannah, before the war with Iran began, that number was 2.4. This top line is inflation. This green line, wages. This is not great when you see this line cross here. That means your paycheck is not going as far
as your bills. And that's why you see so many people complaining about affordability.
So if they're actually telling us these types of numbers now and putting this on the news, how bad do you legitimately think it is? Most people say to just double whatever they're actually telling you, so 4.2 turns into 8.4. And like I said, the graph that they showed for months and months before the most recent numbers said that wages are outpacing inflation, everybody should be fine. And that just doesn't seem to be the case.
Americans are now taking more hardship withdrawals from their 401k retirement accounts than at any time in history. This is so backwards, bro, and it further indicates the times that we're in right now. You know, for a lot of people, their 401k is their most prized possession. You know, that's something they pride themselves in, of never touching that money so they can have when they reach retirement age, whatever that is. And the bad part about this is a lot of people will say, well, they should have planned better, they should have did this, they should have did that. Man, a lot of people did, bro. But in my adulthood, I've only been adult for maybe 8 years now, but in my time, it's never been as worse as it, or as bad as it is right now. Groceries are up, housing is up, insurance is up, you name it, it's up, and a lot of the wages aren't. And I'm all for taking a loan if you have to take a loan, but if you're taking a hardship withdrawal, that means one thing: you're most likely out of options.
Going over to the comment section, emptied mine twice. I'm 39. I hate it here. We're just trying to survive. This adds into another one of the topics that we've gone over on this channel, the retirement crisis. It only seems to be getting more difficult as time goes on. Many people are going to be working until they're in the grave.
I don't know about y'all, but personally my favorite time of the month is the approximately 48 seconds where I open my bank account and there are enough funds in there for me to feel like I can breathe. And like I said, only 48 seconds, because then I have to use those funds to pay the bills that require money, and there's that. But the 48 seconds is really nice.
We got a photo up on screen. What's the cost of something that shocked you when you started spending your own adult money? Someone says a trash can. What do you mean? They're $70. Rugs. Why is a 5x7 $400? Cheese, olive oil, seasonings. Why are spices so expensive? I paid $20 for a deodorant yesterday. $20. A couch. Any furniture really? The creator responds, even a side table. Fruit and toothbrushes. Also, why is good lotion so expensive? Paper towels, underwear, prescription glasses, and healthcare in general. But now we could go over to the housing segment of this video because it's only getting crazier.
Median prices of homes have hit a new record here in the Boston area, $1,030,000. That is according to April's report from the Greater Boston Association of Realtors. This is the second time that the price of a median single-family home in the Boston area has passed the $1 million mark. Realtors say demand is high overall despite low inventory, so prices could climb even more this summer.
All that for terrible roads and terrible weather 8 months out of the year. $1 million to live in a boring city. That's why Massachusetts ranks top 5 for both people moving out and not moving in. $400,000 homes going for $1 million. And we could just move on to the next clip, which is the result of these high prices.
Young people are leaving Boston in droves. This is according to a new survey of 20 to 30-year-olds. Now, the report comes from the Greater Boston Chamber of Commerce. Of those surveyed, a quarter of them say they would likely leave the area in the next 5 years, and only half of them plan to stay in the state. Now, the big ticket items that are make or break were cost of rent, job availability, and the ability to buy a home. The chamber warns lawmakers should take these concerns seriously just to slow the exodus.
It's nearly as expensive as New York, but maybe 1% is fun. Another person saying boring and expensive, and paying California prices for terrible weather. But these increases in prices are starting to squeeze everyone around the country, so we're seeing more and more of the younger generation staying with their parents longer.
We can clearly universally agree there is an unaffordability crisis in the U.S. It is by far the worst here in New Jersey, where 44.1% of young adults still live with their parents. To put it into context, it is more affordable for young adults to live on their own in Hawaii, which is at number 15, than it is to be in New Jersey. And these statistics complement data that came out earlier in the year that found that hidden home ownership costs here in New Jersey are the 4th in the nation. And hidden home ownership costs include maintenance, utilities, and insurance. So it's becoming very unaffordable for young people to ever have aspirations to actually maintain a household of their own.
And people wonder why I didn't stay in the state when I moved out of my parents' house. Apartments are going for $2,000 plus in Trenton, which is not a nice area. I live in a small bad town in New Jersey, and all the houses are $1 million. If you're basically anywhere near the shore points, it's wildly overpriced. I'm 26 in New Jersey and I feel so defeated. And we got another comment here. My dad can't retire. I often feel bad that I'm 28 and still at home, but my parents can't pay their bills without my income. Even if I was able to move out, I'd be barely scraping by. But once you zoom out a bit and take a look at the rest of the world, living with your family members or parents are a lot more common.
What age is it customary to move out of your parents' house, and how old were both of you?
Oh, for us, like, it's very late. Like in Macedonia, you can stay at your parents until 45, and your parents will love it. They love having you around. Like for my mom and my dad, it was like very difficult that I moved out.
I was 19.
I was 23.
Probably pushing 30, to be honest, for a lot of people.
Especially, it's expensive, man.
Yeah. It's so expensive, especially in London. Like house prices are obscene.
I left when I was 19, but because I moved to different countries.
Most of our friends live with their parents, and we are 28 years old.
Even in the early 30s, it's still fairly common.
Like the price of the houses compared to the salaries is crazy here.
My parents live in a small town, so I had to move out for university. But I do have friends who studied in Porto, and they stayed living in their parents until 30.
This is a sentiment that I've seen change in the US over the past few years, though. Many thought that these people's children were just mooching off of them, which we have seen examples of people squandering their opportunity, but now in 2026, a majority are just trying to save as much money as humanly possible.
Genuine question for the Norwegians. How does anybody afford to live here when the prices are so astronomically high? Are the wages also extremely high? Do you not have to save any money because of the sovereign wealth funds? When a beer costs the equivalent of 18 euros, how do the lads go out for more than a few pints? Also, for a country that prides itself on everyone making a living wage, which I support, by the way, why is it that at every single bar and restaurant I've been to, I've been asked to tip? Sometimes I don't even have the option of tipping zero. Genuine questions, let me know.
Many of us don't live, we just exist. And we're not rich, the state is. The bank owns everything. We can't afford to live here, we just don't have any other choice. Because at least when it comes to a lot of clips from people in the US, many will say that they just want to leave the country and move somewhere else. But it seems like this problem is spreading around the entire planet.
If Britain was an American state, if we were the 51st state, how many states do you think would be richer than us and how many poorer than us per capita?
Knows.
Do you think we're richer than any states?
So I think we're probably in the middle.
Interesting. So it's like sort of 25 out of 50.
Yeah, I'd say in the middle.
Because that a lot of people say that. Unfortunately, it's not right.
Oh, right, okay.
So there's been a new study by the Institute of Economic Affairs. The UK is now poorer per capita than all 50 American states.
Is it?
Yeah, we've been overtaken by Mississippi, the poorest American state. But what's really interesting is there was a survey done by the same group, 3,000 British voters. The average answer was they thought we would be the 7th richest state if we were an American state. We'd actually be the 51st.
Wow.
So it's a huge, I mean, your guess was actually significantly better than like the average British public.
So again, when I see clips of people saying that I'm just going to move to Europe or the UK and everything's going to be fine, that's not always the case either. We've definitely seen examples as well that most workers don't get paid as much as their US counterparts. So if you think that there's a wage problem in America, it is nothing compared to a lot of places around the world.
I've been seeing so many videos down my For You page of people talking about like, oh, we're so ready to leave America, like we're done, we're sick, we're tired. And I'm here to let you know, you might want to reconsider it. I've been living abroad for the last 3 years and I'm ready to take my back to Ohio. Girl, I'm telling you right now, the grass is not always greener. I've been to 40 countries, 20 countries in the last year. I've been to 25 countries in Europe. Half the time I've been abroad was in Europe. And I'm here to let you know, everywhere is going to nowhere is good to live. Everybody hates their life. The political climate of the entire world is going to. So you might as well just stay home, stay in your comfort.
I do know that there'll be a whole bunch of comments of people talking about moving to way lower cost of living areas. However, when a good amount of people do that, it does eventually raise the price of that entire area. Maybe it takes a few years or a decade or two, but eventually everything will get wildly overpriced and you have to do that over and over again, I guess. There really is no way you could win.
In 2017, there were 36 vehicle models for sale in the US for less than $25,000. This year, according to Cox Automotive, there are only 5. So, where did all the cheap new cars go? Here are 4 things to know. 1. You'd think in this economy, people would be snapping up cheap new automobiles. But Sean Tucker of Kelley Blue Book says Americans' buying habits have changed.
In November, cars priced over $75,000 outsold cars priced under $30,000. And that's a relatively new phenomenon.
But the phenomenon is tied to consumer demand, says Christian Seabaugh, features editor with Motor Trend.
Automakers have realized that the subcompacts, the traditional entry-level cars that we always think of, just weren't moving. And so they've pivoted in a way with the SUV, small SUVs and stuff.
And a bonus to meeting consumers where they are, bigger profit margins.
Most SUVs these days are made on the same platform as cars are. The cost of actually building one is relatively similar, and they're able to sell them successfully for a higher price.
And I know with this particular topic, keeping up with the Joneses is very important to people. So they start getting the Suburbans and Expeditions that are $75,000 plus, when they have absolutely no business in doing so. But regardless of that, the shrinking market of somewhat affordable cars, still $25,000 is a lot of money, but it's still bad overall for somebody trying to buy a cheap car to go from point A to point B.
Across the country, new data centers are driving up utility bills in at least 13 states. This analysis found Americans who live near data centers are paying as much as 267% more for energy than 5 years ago. And in the next 5 years, the amount of energy consumed by commercial buildings like data centers in Georgia will more than double.
Data centers will add billions of dollars to costs to electricity rates in Georgia if we don't get better protection than we have right now.
I've heard about this so much in the past couple months, I don't know how it's not a bigger deal to people. Who would want to pay 250% more? And it's not like the people who live around the data center are getting any benefits. We got another comment from you guys here. My mom's gas and electric was $800 in January. She lives by herself.
Genuinely, I don't know how people save money because I'm like paycheck to paycheck. I own my car. Fortunately, I don't have a car payment on it, but my insurance is high. There's always something wrong. Like I had to get my brakes fixed, like oil changes, like all of this keeps coming up, or I just have like my phone bill. How are you guys saving money? Please tell me because I can't do it.
Tell me, how are you making it on one income? I am a 45-year-old mom who got the degree, got the job, got the steady paycheck. My husband finally, for the first time in all of our years of marriage, has a steady job, a steady paycheck, but we still weren't making ends meet. How are you doing it? How are you doing it without a side hustle? Because I legit want to know. Gas, groceries, insurance, utilities, everything is up.
Going over to the comment section, no alcohol, no cigarettes, no eating out, no fast food, no vehicle payment, no credit card payments, and even then, if you're renting, all you could do is pray they don't raise it. Another person just saying I have a side hustle, then someone else saying I work 2 jobs and extreme budgeting all income down to the penny, and we live within our means. But the creator responds, with rising costs, this is getting harder and harder to do when the dollar doesn't stretch as far.
I feel like our generation is slowly getting priced out of a normal life. Housing, dating, starting a family. It's like the things that used to be normal are starting to feel impossible.
When do you think they'll get it? When do you think they're going to understand that people cannot afford the lives that they want? They can't afford the children. The generations will continue to get smaller. People will continue having fewer children. When do you think that's going to happen? Like, it's not a matter of, oh, well, it's just like a minor dip. It's a matter of the fact that people can barely make it work on their own.
I feel like they're going to realize it when it's too late. A perfect example of that is Japan. They've been having issues with population for quite a while now, and it's for the exact same reason. They're working all the time, not making enough money, they can't afford having children, and that eventually turns into the workforce dwindling. So that kind of stuff is just going to start happening all over the world, especially when you start seeing these absolutely insane costs for kids.
Guys, I reached out to a daycare in Massachusetts, okay? Just and giggles because I'm trying to figure out what the pricing is. And I'm just wondering how anybody can do this. After doing the math, for 4 weeks, let's just say 4 weeks in a month, we're looking at over $5,000 for 2 kids, okay? These prices are outrageous. I need somebody to tell me if this is normal, because to me, this is crazy. This amount, like $1,200 and some change for 2 kids, And I know that daycare workers don't be getting paid like that. So I am just like, what is actually going on?
I feel like the owners are just squeezing everybody as much as they can. Because what choice do people have? You basically have to have 2 people working full time just to be able to pay the bills, possibly, but then that turns into most of the money being funneled into these daycares just to babysit your kid. I mean, she showed it was $711 a week. Oh man. So that's all I got for you guys today. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. YouTube thinks you'll like this video popping up on screen right now, but hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like, and I'll talk to you guys later.